You smell smoke before you open your eyes. Not dirty smoke, familiar smoke. It clings to your hair, your skin, your sleeping place, and the animal hide beside you like a second layer of protection. There is no bathroom, no soap pump, no towel folded neatly near a sink. But that does not mean your ancestors simply lived in filth. For most of human history, staying clean was not about smelling fresh for other people. It was about not getting eaten by parasites. It was about keeping wounds from turning deadly. It was about sleeping somewhere that did not crawl, bite, rot, and make your body weak. So what was hygiene like before showers, toothpaste, shampoo, laundry machines, and deodorant? The answer is stranger than you think. You probably imagine ancient humans as greasy, muddy, smelly creatures wandering through the Ice Age with tangled hair and dirty hands. That image feels obvious. Modern life has taught you that cleanliness comes from products, plumbing, and water. But your body is far older than your bathroom. Your ancestors lived in a world where bad smells mattered. Rotting meat could make you sick. Standing waste could attract insects. Open wounds could end a life. A sleeping mat full of fleas could drain your strength one bite at a time. Cleanliness was not luxury. Cleanliness was survival. The first thing to understand is that ancient hygiene was not one invention. It was a set of habits: scraping, rinsing, smoking, burning, grooming, moving camp, using plants, using ash, using teeth, shells, bones, fingers, and fire. And some of those habits are much older than civilization. At Sabudu Cave in South Africa, archaeologist Lynn Wadley and her team studied layers of ancient bedding that go back roughly 77,000 years. Bedding means sleeping material, not a mattress with springs. A deliberately built sleeping surface made from sedges, grasses, and leaves. That already changes the picture. Your ancestors were not just collapsing onto dirt. They were making beds. But the most interesting part was what they placed on top. The bedding included aromatic leaves from plants with natural insect-killing chemicals. In plain English, these leaves helped repel bugs. Your ancestors may have been sleeping on a kind of prehistoric pest control mat. Why does that matter? Because mosquitoes, ticks, fleas, lice, and biting flies are not just annoying. They steal blood. They spread disease. They make sleep shallow and broken. In a world without medicine, keeping insects away from your body could be the difference between strength and sickness. So imagine the scene. You crouch inside a rock shelter at dusk. The air is cooling. Someone pulls dry grass into a pile. Someone else spreads sharp-smelling leaves across the top. A child wrinkles their nose. An elder smiles because the smell means safety. You lie down on plants chosen not only for softness, but because they help keep crawling things away from your skin. That is hygiene. Not modern hygiene, ancient hygiene. And it gets even more practical. At Border Cave in southern Africa, researchers described grass bedding from around 200,000 years ago, placed on layers of ash. Ash is the powdery gray material left after fire burns wood. To you, ash may look like dirt. To insects, ash can be a barrier. That means your ancestors may have used the remains of yesterday's fire to make tonight's sleeping place cleaner. Fire cooked food. Fire warmed bodies. Fire scared predators. And fire may also have helped manage pests. A shower washes dirt away. A fire changes the whole environment around you. That is the key. Ancient cleanliness was not only about washing the body, it was about controlling the space where the body lived. A dirty campsite could become dangerous fast. Bones, scraps, feces, and old bedding could attract insects and scavengers. So, hunter-gatherers often solved a hygiene problem. In a way modern people rarely can. They moved. When a place became too foul, too depleted, or too crowded with pests, your ancestors could leave it behind. This does not mean every group wandered every day. It means mobility itself could work like sanitation. Instead of building a sewage system, you step away from the mess before it becomes a trap. Anthropologist Richard Lee, who studied Jew, Hoanzi hunter-gatherers in the Kalahari in the 1960s, showed that foraging life was organized around movement, sharing, and intimate social knowledge. His work was not about ancient bathrooms, but it helps you understand the pattern. Small mobile groups do not create waste in the same way a dense city does. Then agriculture changed everything. When humans began living with stored grain, domesticated animals, and permanent villages, waste had nowhere to disappear. Rats arrived, flies arrived, human feces stayed nearby, animal dung stayed nearby. Disease found a new home. This is the counterintuitive twist. The first farmers may have been smellier, sicker, and more parasite-ridden than many older hunter-gatherers. Civilization gave humans walls. It also gave germs a neighborhood. But long before towns, your ancestors still had to clean their bodies. Water was the simplest tool. If you lived near a river, lake, spring, or coastline, you could rinse mud, blood, sweat, and plant matter from your skin. Not every day. Not always comfortably. Cold water can be dangerous. Predators can wait near water. You can picture a small group by a river after a hunt. Hands red from butchery, forearms sticky, stone flakes lying near the carcass. A person kneels and rubs their hands with sand in the current. Sand is abrasive. That means it scratches and scrubs. Fine grit can remove grease better than plain water alone. Ash can do something similar. Mixed with fat, ash can help create a slippery cleaning substance because wood ash contains alkaline chemicals. Alkaline means the opposite of acidic, and it can break down oils. This is not the same as a modern bar of soap, but the basic idea was there. Use rough material. Use water. Use plant fiber. Use ash. Scrub what must be scrubbed. Your ancestors also cleaned with grooming. This may be the oldest human hygiene behavior of all. You have probably seen monkeys picking through each other's fur. That is not random fussing. It removes dirt, dead skin, ticks, lice, and debris. It also builds trust. Primatologist Robin Dunbar argued that grooming in primates is deeply social. Primates are the larger animal group that includes monkeys, apes, and humans. In many primates, grooming is not only skincare, it is friendship made physical. For ancient humans, grooming probably did both jobs. A mother picking through a child's hair, a partner checking a bite mark, a friend removing a thorn, someone scraping dirt from under another person's nails with a sliver of wood or bone. No clinic, no shampoo, no mirror, just close attention from people who knew your body well enough to notice when something was wrong. Then there were teeth. Ancient teeth tell a complicated story. Some hunter-gatherers had heavy toothwear because their food carried grit from stone grinding, dust, or sand. But cavities were often less common before diets became rich in sticky, cultivated carbohydrates, especially after farming. A cavity is a hole made when bacteria feed on sugars and produce acids that damage the tooth. So, your ancestor might have had worn-down teeth and still have fewer cavities than a modern candy-eating child. Clean does not always mean polished. Healthy does not always mean white. There is evidence from prehistoric teeth that people used toothpicks long before dentistry. Tiny grooves between teeth suggest repeated picking with a hard object. Maybe a twig, maybe a sliver of bone, maybe a grass stem. Imagine sitting near a fire after eating roasted meat and roots. A shred is stuck between your molars. You find a thin twig. You work it free. Nobody calls it dental hygiene, but that is what it is. Ancient humans also had to handle body odor. Here, the modern mind often gets confused. You think body odor means dirt, but much odor comes from skin bacteria breaking down sweat. Sweat itself is not always the problem. The mix of sweat, bacteria, clothing, smoke, fat, and environment creates smell. Your ancestors almost certainly smelled strong by modern standard. Smoke, animal hide, earth, sweat, plants, blood after hunting, rain if soaked. But strong smell is not the same as neglect. In many environments, smoke was protective. Smoke can repel insects. Smoke can dry meat. Smoke can preserve hides. Smoke can cling to hair and clothing, masking some scents and driving away some pests. You might hate smelling like a campfire after one night outdoors. Your ancestors may have smelled like fire for good reasons. clothing created another hygiene problem. As humans moved into cold climates, animal skins, furs, and later woven fibers helped keep heat close to the body. But clothing traps sweat, dead skin, lice, and smell. The more clothing you wear, the more you need cleaning habits. Archaeologist Ian Gilligan has written about the evolution of clothing in the Ice Age, arguing that fitted clothing became important as humans moved through colder environments. Fitted clothing means clothing shaped closely enough to trap warmth, not just a loose hide over the shoulders. Once clothing becomes essential, keeping it usable becomes essential too. How do you clean clothing without detergent? You shake it, you scrape it, you dry it in sun, you smoke it, you beat dust from it, you remove lice by hand. You keep the garment alive because making a new one costs labor, skill, and animal lives. And then there is ochre. Ochre is a natural earth pigment, often red or yellow, colored by iron minerals. At Blombos Cave in South Africa, Christopher Henshelwood and his colleagues found evidence of ochre processing around 100,000 years ago. People ground ochre, mixed it, and stored an ochre-rich mixture in abalone shells. An abalone shell is a large sea shell that can work like a little bowl. Ochre may have been used for art, symbolism, body decoration, hide processing, or skin protection. Archaeologists still debate exact uses in every case. But the important point is this: your ancestors were not ignoring their bodies. They were modifying them, coloring the skin, marking the body, treating hides, preparing mixtures, choosing substances from the earth, and turning them into something useful. Modern hygiene separates clean from decorated. Ancient life may not have separated them so neatly. A substance on the skin could mean identity. It could mean beauty. It could mean protection from sun, insects, or irritation. It could mean all of those at once. Now think about hair. Without scissors from a store, hair still had to be managed. Sharp stone flakes can cut. Shell edges can cut. Fire can singe. Fingers can braid, twist, pull, tie, and untangle. Long tangled hair can collect debris. It can hold lice. It can get in the way. So hair care was not vanity alone. It was comfort, safety, and social identity. A child with messy hair might be held between someone's knees while fingers search the scalp. A hunter might tie hair back before butchering. A grandmother might smooth a child's hair with wet hands before sleep. You do not need a plastic comb to care about hair. Wounds were the most serious hygiene challenge. A small cut today gets rinsed, disinfected, covered, and ignored. A small cut in deep prehistory could become infected. Infection means harmful microbes entering tissue and multiplying. You cannot see them, but your ancestors could see swelling, heat, pus, fever, and weakness. They did not know germ theory. Germ theory is the modern understanding that microscopic organisms can cause disease. But you do not need a microscope to learn that some wounds do better when dirt is removed. You do not need chemistry to learn that certain plants soothe skin. You do not need a laboratory to learn that washing, binding, or leaving a wound alone can change the outcome. Trial and error is a brutal teacher, but across thousands of generations it teaches plants mattered, not as magical cure-alls. As practical tools, leaves could cover, fibers could bind, resins could seal, smoke could dry. Your ancestors experimented constantly with the living pharmacy around them, and they watched animals. Animals lick wounds, roll in dust, scratch against trees, bathe in water, seek certain plants. Humans, with memory and language, could turn observation into tradition. The deeper you look, the less they look careless. They look observant. They look practical. They look like people solving problems with what the world gave them. No toothpaste, but toothpicks. No shampoo, but grooming. No mattress store, but insect-repelling bedding. No laundry machine, but shaking, scraping, smoking, drying. No plumbing, but movement, fire, water, plants, and distance. Were they smelly? Yes, by modern standards. Were they dirty all the time? Not in the simple cartoon way people imagine. Their cleanliness was ecological. That means it worked with the surrounding environment. Modern hygiene happens inside sealed rooms with running water. Ancient hygiene happened in landscapes of smoke, sun, river stones, grasses, ash, insects, and skin. And now look at your own life. You wash with heated water brought through hidden pipes. You press a button and waste vanishes. You wear clothes cleaned by machines. You sleep on a bed treated, covered, sealed, and separated from the ground. You brush teeth with flavored paste and nylon bristles. You smell like products chosen from a shelf. It feels normal, but it is extremely new. Your body, however, is still ancient. Your skin still hosts bacteria. Your scalp still itches. Your sweat still carries information. Your nose still reacts to rot, smoke, blood, and sickness. Your brain still relaxes when a sleeping place feels safe. That is why a clean bed feels like relief. That is why a shower can change your mood. That is why bad smells can make you instantly alert. Deep inside, hygiene was never just about looking presentable. It was about survival. So, the next time you stand under hot water and watch the dirt vanish into a drain, remember what that comfort replaced. A hand in a cold river, a twig between teeth, smoke in your hair, ash beneath your sleeping grass, a friend checking your scalp by firelight. You smell smoke before you open your eyes. And now you understand why it once meant you were clean enough to survive.